Hello everyone, welcome to NeoUnrealist. I knew this was going to happen. I called it. I just didn't realize that it was going to happen so quickly. Now, after the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals upheld that bizarre ruling of Judge Naomi Reese Buchwald that no government official may block people with their social media accounts, in Trump's case, his Twitter account, that's what that particular case boiled down to. The suit was brought last year by the Knight Institute. And it set up, the ruling set up a ridiculous situation where social media platforms are, at the same time legally declared a public forum when it suits the purposes of the left, but a private space where they can ban people over ideological and political beliefs, when they want to do that. So this is an untenable situation that must either result in one thing or the other happening when this case inevitably gets to the Supreme Court. Now, if the Supreme Court were to uphold this decision, it would provide precedent going forward for others to claim that if access to a public official's social media account is access to a public forum, then de facto even having a private company, which is not normally subject, to uphold the First Amendment, is denying access to a public space where the court has ruled that the First Amendment forbids denying people access. So it'd be like the telephone company, AT&T, banning your use of their telephone network because although you've not broken any laws or the terms of your contract with AT&T, that they don't agree with the content of your phone calls. Moreover, what happens when that public official leaves office? I mean, by this standard, it makes the impossible situation where a public forum must remain a public forum in perpetuity. Otherwise, there'd be the impossible situation where, a public official's account would morph from being a public to a private forum again when he leaves office. Then let's say 2 years down the line, he decides to run for office again. Is it then a public forum again at that point? I mean, what if he runs for office but doesn't win? What if he runs for office, wins, but hasn't been sworn in yet? Is it a public forum then in the intervening time between the election day and when this person officially assumes the duties of the office? I mean, this is nonsensical. There's no mechanism in place on social media platforms to keep track of this transient status. So the alternative outcome is that the Supreme Court says that public officials' Twitter accounts are their own and that they may block whomever they please, which would in effect overturn the lower court rulings. But as it stands now, the ruling against Trump is in effect, and many on the left are celebrating this as some kind of victory against the bad orange man, when it's effectively a cell phone. Because they have set up a situation where either Trump wins at the Supreme Court, overturning the ruling and making them look like idiots, or worse for them, the ruling is upheld and now they suffer the consequences. The ruling was not that Trump and Trump alone may not block. It's that no public official may block people on Twitter and social media. Now enter one Joey Saladino, also known as Joey Salads on YouTube, currently a candidate in the Republican Party primary to represent New York's 11th congressional district on Staten Island. Now I've noticed that whenever Joey gets into the news, they really don't emphasize what he's saying or doing that's newsworthy. They give him I like to call it the Daenerys Targaryen treatment. You know how Daenerys, she's always introduced as Daenerys Stormborn of House Targaryen, the first of her name, Queen of the Andals, the Rhoynar, the First Men, rightful Queen of the Seven Kingdoms, Protector of the Realm, Queen of Dragonstone, Queen of Marine, Khaleesi of the Great Grass Sea. The whole thing with the Unburnt, the Breaker of Chains and all that, the Mother of Dragons. Quite a mouthful. Now with Joey Saladino, it's always Joey Saladino followed by a laundry list of every sin and faux pas he's ever been associated with, basically to set you up to believe that he's one of the worst human beings who ever lived. Now regardless, for once, we're going to talk about what he's actually done that is newsworthy. Watching this clip as he files a lawsuit against Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez for blocking him on Twitter.
What's up, guys? Joey Saladino here. For you that don't know who I am, I'm running for Congress, New York's 11th Congressional District, Staten Island and South Brooklyn. It's just a district or two over from AOC's district, and as you can see, she blocked me on Twitter. So this just came out today. Trump can't block critics from his Twitter account, appeals court rules. So what I'm going to be doing with you guys live is I'm going to be filing my lawsuit against AOC to see if the standards apply equally with the left and the right. I got the check. I got the documents. I'm at the post office, going to file it right now. So the deed's done. It's all shipped out. I got all the tracking information. I don't want to expose the information.
Simple and straightforward. Joey Saladino's case is a slam dunk. A slam dunk because while the Trump Twitter precedent is in effect, and it is until and unless it's struck down by the Supreme Court of the United States, no government official may block someone on their social media accounts in violation of the First Amendment. And that bar, the standard of the First Amendment, in case you're not aware, it's very, very high. I mean, technically, you could yell racial epithets, obscenities, anything short of physical threats or other illegal behaviors like harassment, and no government official is able to block, censor, or edit your comments. Now, in the left's blind rage and their desire to own the bad orange man, they've essentially ruined Twitter and all social media for themselves, really. I mean, because think about it. Who are the people who use the block feature on Twitter the most? It's the far left. I mean, this is anecdotal, of course, because, most right-wing public figures, they, in my experience, they go onto social media, and while I wouldn't say that all of them are primarily looking to engage with left-wing people, they certainly are the group that's more open to it than the left is. I mean, left-wing public figures, they sometimes even go to the extreme of blocking people that they've never interacted with. I've seen where left-wingers, they make use of block lists that preemptively block legions of conservative accounts on Twitter. People that have never so much as tweeted at them or ever mentioned them. I've been blocked by left-wing figures who I never even heard of, let alone interacted with. I mean, that's how ridiculous it is. Joey Saladino is a candidate in an election for Congress. Put aside, the fact that in many of the mainstream media dismisses candidacy because he's a YouTuber. I mean, these are the same people who will jump on anybody who disparages Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez by noting that her thin resume before taking office consisted of being a bartender. The bottom line is, you got a member of Congress from the state delegation that Saladino is running to be a part of, blocking him on Twitter. Joey Saladino he's also joined by, believe it or not, by Democrat Dov Hikind, who's announced his own lawsuit against Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because she blocked him. Now remember, Hikind, he's been a Democrat politician in New York for longer than AOC's been alive. I mean, no joke. She's like, 29 years old? He was a politician in New York at least going back more than 30 years. So I guess she didn't want to hear him because, if I remember right, Hikind was chastising her for, some stuff about, what her friend said, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. But going forward, I mean, the people who are going to be most adversely impacted, by this precedent staying in effect, it's actually the left, because at a minimum, their politicians have lost control of their own social media accounts. Now, worst case scenario, the precedent, if allowed to stand, it's going to be used to chip away at the unique, and I mean that unique. No other industry has this. The unique protection that Silicon Valley companies have with Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act. And it seems to me that the parties most interested in overturning the Trump Twitter precedent might actually wind up being Democrat politicians. That's all for this NeoUnrealist. To support this channel, if you haven't already, click on the subscribe button and mash down on that notification bell beside it. You got to set it to all if you want to keep up with the new content. Now, share this video yourself if you want to see it spread, because I'm pretty sure that YouTube just doesn't recommend independent news and commentary channels anymore. The only ones you're going to see now are just the pre-approved big corporate media channels like CNN and MSNBC. Now, to go above and beyond and toss your hard-earned dollars, your shekels, your drachmas, you want to toss those into the till, you can follow links below to subscribe, Star, PayPal, even Patreon is still there for you diehards who are still around. And most importantly, the fact that you're still here and listening to this after the money-grubbing capitalist portion of the video means I got to tip my cap to you. So thanks for watching.
Injunctive relief from the court to be unblocked by her official Twitter violations. All right. Now, plaintiff certification and